Yesterday, I took Mrs. Lean Bear out on a date to a place called Paju Book City. It's an interesting place. Paju is known as a book publishing hub of South Korea. For whatever reason, it's always traditionally, I think, had that place. And so they've got this place called Paju Book City. I did a 15-second short from there. Anyway, in this it's got publishing companies, publishing houses, and some museums and cultural centers, all sort of devoted to books and art. And the building, the art center place that we were in was called Jihei Soup, or Forest of Wisdom. And inside of that venue, there was an art exhibition. A painter who's a watercolor painter. And I like watercolor painting very much. I mean, I like all different kinds of painting. But I love good watercolor painting. And I'm a painter of sorts myself. I'm a one-eyed painter of sorts. I paint with sound, and I'm partially deaf in one ear, so I kind of jokingly to myself think of myself as a one-eyed painter. And so, anyways, I was appreciating this very, very small collection of watercolors. There was a lady floating around the area. I couldn't tell if she was the artist or not, and she seemed kind of standoffish, and I hesitated to strike up a conversation with her and find out if she was the artist. I was just in a bit of a shy mood myself, so maybe it just wasn't the time. But if she was the artist, I wanted to tell her. I surreptitiously snapped this little detail of a painting. It was a painting of a kind of a lane going through a bamboo forest. Kind of hard to tell with watercolors because the details, but just judging by the girth and pin straightness of the stalks. I mean, could have been like birch tree, like really thin birch trees. But this is Korea, and I think it was a bamboo forest. Mrs. Lean Bear is clanking around in the kitchen. I'm going to shut the door. All right, so this is the kind of soul I am, you know. I was captivated by this that you see right here. I thought there might be rules against snapping pictures. I didn't take a picture of the whole painting, but I thought there was nothing wrong with bagging this detail that I loved. This little area, about, I would say it was about 3 inches by 3 inches square. And the camera did a reasonably good job of bagging it, but of course it's not like being there, right? But just notice how these little lines, these crisp, clean little lines demarcating these fields of color This is what I love about good watercolor painting. I'm not a painter, but I think this is in the domain of watercolor. Yeah, I don't think you can achieve this with oil painting. I suppose you could, like some hyper realist oil painter could paint an oil watercolor that has all the dynamics of a watercolor and make it look like a real watercolor. But I'm talking about, like, this is a watercolor thing, right? And really good watercolor painters use this. And she was really good. And I was looking at this. Now this kind of thing was scattered throughout the painting. The rest of the painting had that kind of that sort of dreamy, ethereal watercolor overall gestalt. The impression that you get is kind of dreamy, kind of soft, and a little bit washed out. The details it's kind of impressionistic, I guess. I'm not like an art scholar or art critic or anything, so if you are, then okay, whatever. I'm talking about it the best I can. I relate to this. I relate to it so much. I was so fixated on it. I was so captivated by it that Mrs. Lean Bear just, like, she got tired of waiting around and wandered off to look at the gigantic bookshelves. And I don't know how long I stood there and just... it's like this little thrill of exhilaration right here behind my sternum. I think that, like, people who talk about chakras talk about that's your heart center, right? There's something to that, and to all that. It's very, very much something to all that. And that's where I felt it in my gross material body complex. Just this tingling little singing little thrill of exhilaration. Like, I imagine that's how she felt when she did it. Like that keen sort of singing little, it makes ASMR look like just, I don't know, ambient elevator music. It's like ASMR that has wings, and the feeling I can imagine that she had when she dropped the paint onto the paper and it did that. And she went, yeah, right, yeah. Oh, the satisfaction. Oh, man. And it occurs to me that it's not the level of talent that you have that makes you an artist. And, like, level of talent, how much talent, it's like, it's irrelevant in a way. First of all, that's like other people's values and estimations, and which is all too often informed by the cultural milieu that they're in, and most people don't think for themselves. They really don't. Most people don't have their own tastes. Most people, I've come to the conclusion, most people do not have their own native tastes. And I'm not trying to sound like a snob or an elitist, because I'm not. That's just the way that things seem to be with human beings. They don't have, the vast majority of people on this planet don't have original thoughts, and don't have, and even if they were aware that they don't have original thoughts, they'd be hard pressed to, I mean, maybe, okay, anyway. I digress. Look, for most of my life, I wouldn't like call myself an artist, even inwardly to myself, because I've got too much respect for the word, and the word is thrown around way too cheaply. You know, Beyonce is an artist. Kanye is an artist, right? It's like, all right, okay. Everybody's an artist, I guess, right? Okay, fair enough. But, you could make a case for that. We could be really like egalitarian about it. But then the word loses all power and meaning. What do you call a guy that stands and looks at this, transfixed by it, for, I don't know, 15 minutes at least? I just couldn't tear myself away from it. What do you call that? Because I recognize it. I know what goes into that. I know why she did that. I know how she felt when she did it. Because that's what I try to do with sound. And so it's like, I don't have a tremendous amount of talent. There are people on this planet that have such insane amounts of talent that it just makes me look like a complete hack. But they're not artists. There's a difference. I finally accepted, and I'm taking ownership of the fact that I'm an artist. And it's not because of how much talent I have. It's because of what I care about. Deeply, deeply care about. And the ways in which I care about it. That's what makes you an artist. Not how much talent you have. As estimated by people, and I've worked with art critics. I worked one cubicle over from an art critic in New York City for 3 years. And the guy was a pompous, bloviating, and schizophrenic, but that's beside the point. I've been schizophrenic. But he was full of other people's ideas, and he spoke the art world language. And I was constantly calling bullshit on it, in subtle ways, and it used to infuriate him. Anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest, and not that anybody cares or is watching. And you know what? I've decided that's really fine by me. What I am onto here, what I have found here, this teaches me, like, my friend Josh down in Australia, whose channel, who's a great musician with just freight loads of talent that I'll never have, in terms of like playing instruments and arranging and writing really complex music. I think he's a bit frustrated with his artistic life these days, but that's natural. And real artists, especially artists of great potency, go through periods of extraordinary and extraordinarily deep and painful self-doubt as part of their process. I consider him to be an artist as well, a real one. But his channel is exploding nowadays because he's been gold prospecting and people find it fascinating, and rightly so. It is fascinating. He built his own trommel, which is a classification machine. It's a rotating drum made from a piece of culvert pipe, and it's belt driven by a motor from a windshield wiper on a tank, and it's just extraordinary. It takes an artist to put all that together and put it on the internet, and people care about it, and just blows me away. But the point being that he and the trolls come on, and they see, this is why I'm quite happy to be ignored by the world, because even this guy that is getting an explosion of attention and recognition for what he's doing, he gets all of these lagwagons, these trolls that all they can do is ask how much gold do you find? How much is it worth? How much do you make in a day? How much do you make in a week? This is what I want to keep it like rated G, actually. This is what sad, Philistine souls this world is populated by. Most people are Philistines. There's the nicest word I can think of. They're brainwashed, and it's just, there's no hope for freedom, in the real freedom in this world, because most people are brainwashed Philistines, and they'll get on a live stream and watch a man in the middle of winter in waders in freezing cold water dredging up pay dirt or overburden or tailings. I'm learning the lingo as I go, because I'm a moderator and I have to be able to explain these things. And he's doing this extraordinary thing. And all these brainwashed Philistines can think about is, how much money are you making? And then when they find out that it's in their little, their tawdry, tiny little minds, it's not enough to justify all the effort. Then they start slagging on him and leering. Just leering retards, right? And it's like, you don't get it. You'll never get it. It's hard to feel sorry for them too. I know I should just feel like pity for them, but I'm so tired of them. These were the people that during a certain worldwide health crisis, I say that in air quotes, their narrow-minded stupidity cost people their lives and their livelihoods. And I mean, I try to be Christian. I am. But I try to be more Christian in the sense that, like, Christ says, love your enemies. That's really hard for me. I want them to get Darwin Awards. And I'm honest in my feelings. I'm honest to God about it. Honest to God. Anyway, this man, he works so hard, and he finds these little tiny bits of gold. And I admire him so much for it. There's not many people on this planet that I admire, and this guy is one of them. I admire him. And I know that if he keeps going, one of these days he's going to find something. It's going to make those tiny, soft-brained little Philistines, going to make their jaws go even slacker than they already are. And when it happens, I hope he's real quiet about it. Anyways, it occurs to me that the real treasures, okay, there's different kinds of treasures. There's like everyday treasures that people don't appreciate enough. You know, Mrs. Lean Bear just comes up and gives me an impromptu hug or a compliment. That's a everyday, not every day. It's almost it's a treasure, but like real treasures that are really, really hard to find. You got to go looking for them, man. And they're buried. I can't imagine how much invaluable treasure is buried in the silt layer at the bottom of YouTube, of which I'm part. I'm just like a little hermit crab living in the sedimentary bottom layers of the Lake Baikal that is YouTube. And I've got treasures, and I know I've got treasures. I have treasures, man. I didn't really know it. I didn't really accept it until just very, very recently, as in the last couple of days. But yeah, I've got treasures here. And you know what? If it's too much of a Philistine world where it's never found, there's no skin off my nose, man. Because I know what I care about deeply. And I know how I care about it. And here is Ethereal. And even when I released this video, why do you release videos if you're going to release an album? Because I'm constantly evolving and refining, and by the time I'm done with the album, you'll see right here. This is Ethereal. As is objectively measurable in this thing, by the way. It's quite subjective, but it's also, there is a very objectively measurable quality about it. Okay? That's what this thing is for. By the way, in what you're about to hear, brightness was up into the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Dark was down to damn near zero. Just for reference. And so here's ethereal. And then I'm gonna do ethereal dirt. Here's ethereal. Now, I'm not going to say that what I'm about to play for you is better than this, but I call it ethereal dirt. One thing that bothered me about the audio in that music video is that there's not enough darkness, there's not enough grit, there's not enough earth, not enough dirt. Why? Because I had become convinced that the darkness cost me too much detail. It cost me too much detail up in the ether. I couldn't balance it. Hey, DJ, thank you for being here, brother. I just went on a rant about what artists are, and maybe you just came in just in time. So, DJ, the other sometime in the last week or so, I did a talk on my take on digital versus analog, and how they're ultimately two different things with two sets of chromosomes, and you know, at the end of the day, I chose to achieve the best digital sound that I could, because I've heard really, really, really beautiful, pellucid, exquisite digital sound. I thought I'll go for that as best I can. All right, but then I made a video about how I had a mishap and I lost a project file, but luckily I had the stems and I reconstituted the stems, and that gave me a chance to go in here, long story short, and check out Air Windows console. Air Windows has a lot of these console systems that emulate. Some of them emulate consoles. Some of them are just like consoles that he dreamed up in his imagination, right? But this one here is based on the Quad 8, which came before Neves, which was this was like the sound of Steely Dan and all these people, Zappa, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Yes. I imagine probably the early ZZ Top as well. That's my jam, right? So, and what I found is, once I got a chance to really properly explore it, and so there's the bus plug-in that goes the beginning of the 2 bus, and then at the end of every track goes the channel, and they have EQ, pan, fader, right? And I found, DJ, that just when I threw in the towel, in my opinion, this console LA thing, it brings the darkness, it brings that analog vibe without the loss of detail. You still get the granularity, you still get the sort of scintillating detail, and I was amazed. So that was the song that I found out on, was called, now it's called Perennial, and in parentheses, Restoration. So this is all right, so just one more time I'm going to play, and then I'll shut up and just like do the A-B, right? So because I interrupted myself, just going to play the first, let's take the intro, and then we'll play the intro new. That's enough. Now, Ethereal Dirt. It's getting there, DJ. Getting there. But it's new sonic territory. Now watch Dark come up. Dark should come up. Doesn't have it's not as spacious as I want it to be. It's still a work in progress, but it's got me back on the trail of look, I still say that you're never going to get a true analog reel to reel from the early mid 70s from an all digital system. But something new and interesting can be forged with this air window stuff. It's like because it's not like settling for just like trying to emulate analog and no, and it's like something different. It's something worth pursuing, you know. So I could still go back to, hey, let's just make beautiful, pristine, optimal digital, the way that I hear it. But I'm kind of back on this trail again. And let me just like, going back to, so the vocals are a big source of brightness in this, and I'm working on a balance, but check out meter in the for the intro. You see that lovely distribution of red, blue, and green, and dark is up around in the around 30. There was like zero dark in the old one. And I just gave it up because it was like it gobbled up the detail. It gobbled up the, I don't know how to talk about it. Anyway, and it actually does sound like there might have been tape involved at some point, you know? Anyway, your comment is yeah, better, and I'll again, you step in like a really nice moment with a kind word, and I appreciate it. I really do. So this is what I'm on about, and that's it. Again, it's not. I don't know how much more it's going to take, but I feel like I'm close. And this, what we got here is, these are all, at the end, these are all, every last, you know, those are all console LA. And then I've got these things here called Wolfbot. Wait a minute, that's a Wolfbot. No, that's a Wolfbot, which is darkener. It's a darkener. It's under amp sims, but it's a darkener, and it brings dark and growl. It's like I want like a dreaminess where you can really get bitten in the ass. And the other thing I'm working with is, in some cases, like in the case of this synth part here, bass drive. 3 different Air Windows plugins. Oh, and if you haven't checked it out yet, DJ, this one right here. Inflamer. Check out Inflamer. It does something really. I won't even just check it out, man. It's really something. All right, so that's my semi-granular report from Sonic Terra Incognita. DJ, I hope you have a good day down there, and I hope life and work are treating you well, brother. That's it. I need to go get showered up and ready for work. God bless and keep you. From lovely scenic Paju City, South Korea. Over and out.